live to Aussie, where the Raging Bull, Gorden Tallis, joins us. What a career. 20 origins, 18 tests for Australia. And I'm not counting the Super League ones. Over 200 games, including 160 for his beloved Broncos. He's a much beloved figure on the tally these days too. We thank you for rearranging this for us, Gorden. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Sorry, obviously flights and the time difference. I couldn't get to you earlier, but I'm so happy to be on your show.
All right, so you were there, obviously, were you last night? That's why you're talking flights, yes? Yeah.
So went down. It was the first State of Origin played in New South Wales or Sydney for 3 years, obviously because of the COVID situation. So huge crowd. I think there was over 80,000 people there. It was a great night, great spectacle, super game. I'm just so happy that the right team won.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this in the past. But I looked at that game, actually, mate. I looked at that game and I called it a really, what I would call an atypical Origin game, and that New South Wales come out like the bull at a gate, and I'm not being funny by saying that, and with all the superstars and the big names, and look really good, but gradually Queensland get into the game. They get a bit of forward momentum, put the Blues on the back foot, and you can see the Blues starting to kick out of their own half, and all of a sudden the momentum starts to turn and swing. Did you feel it was like that?
Yeah, look, Origins, New South Wales have so much skill and they got so much, firepower all over the park. So when they start attacking, and they did start fast, and as Queenslanders, we just got to hang in there and, mate, what we say is just weather the storm, and, if it takes 80 minutes, it takes 80 minutes. So, mate, what you got to do is, mate, when you're on the back foot, make sure you bite down on the mouth guard a little bit harder and keep on making those tackles and get in front of the blue jerseys, and they did that, and then your turn will come, when you start getting the momentum, when you start getting the fair share of the football, and you've got to take your opportunities. And Queensland did that last night. We were led by Munster. He was absolutely outstanding. The Melbourne Storm 5'8". Last year he had a quiet series, but last night he was as good as anybody that's played number 6 for Queensland.
Dally Terry Evans was saying that hurt last year, even though the third game was won, and that was the kind of, I suppose, the dead rubber. But he said it really did hurt every game north of the border. And he made this great quote afterwards, Gorden. I don't know whether you saw it or not, but he said, we look at each other and the only people we have are each other. And that's the kind of mentality we take on the field. That's really a strong thought, isn't it?
Yeah. Look. I tell you what, for us, there's, say, 4 million Queenslanders. So it's pretty much like New Zealand, right?
Yep.
So... And then New South Wales have always been the big brother. They've beaten us, they beat us for I think 70 years before Origin started. They used to beat us because all our players would go play in the New South Wales competition, and they'd come back to Queensland and beat us with their own players. So State of Origin started, and we're always the underdog. And out of the NRL, I think there's 450 odd players in the NRL, and you take out the Polynesian flavour, I think that might be 20 or 30% now, but we can only pick from about 100 players. So we don't have as much talent to pick from, but when we play for Queensland, we play for Queensland, and we do have each other, and it's a bit of the chip on the old shoulder, and we are playing our big brother, and they've always been better than us, and or when I say always been better than us, they've always had so much talent to choose from. So how we beat them is playing as one, and, being really tight, and a bit like when the All Blacks lose over there, it actually hurts your country. And if Queensland lose, it actually hurts our state. So we know that if we play for Queensland and we lose, it hurts everybody.
This is
it
good.
Doesn't just, it is more than a game of rugby league to a Queenslander.
This is Gorden Tallis with us. I thought the guy Carrigan, to me, just epitomised a Queenslander on debut. I don't know whether he's played that well for Brisbane or not this year, but every time he got the ball, he had 4 guys on him. His legs were pumping. He made 71 metres after contact, and what was it like? He had 200 metres during the game or something like. Just the figures were amazing. That guy, to me, I just looked at him and I just thought, there's no one in a blue jersey doing what he's doing.
No, well, it's probably one of the greatest debuts you could ever have. Paddy Carrigan's been outstanding for Brisbane. He was a young guy. He was made a young captain when they were going through the trouble. He handled himself well. He's such a clean-cut, really good fellow off the field. And to do that on that stage, it's like he's born. So now, to do that in that environment, he now goes up a run. He's I wouldn't say he's a superstar, but certainly now he's in the elite players of our game. That's for sure.
Ricky Stewart once told me, I'm not name dropping Gordon, but he told me in an interview once that he could walk into a hotel foyer and he could tell the Origin players from the non-Origin players. And the way he described it, you know what he's talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Well, they hold themselves different. Mate, I tell you what, mate, you know when you walk into a room where someone's got presence or not.
Totally.
It's the way they hold it, and it's the way that they conduct themselves. It's something special. They know that they're the elite, mate. I'm telling you, like, mate, I used to be really good friends with Jerry Collins. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, mate.
Like, mate, and like I've met so many All Blacks, and they hold themselves different.
Yeah. It is a real thing, though, isn't it? Because what Ricky was saying is he was saying that there are guys that can play Origin who won't play for the Kangaroos. There are guys who are Kangaroos who will never play Origin. And I kind of understood what he was saying.
Yeah, because it's a different game. It's a totally different game. It's it's probably like, I don't know, it's probably like, mate, when you get, like an All Black and they go play against England and
South Africa or England, yeah, those ones, I reckon. Right? Yeah, it means more than just a game of rugby, and I can, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, and then like I played with Brad Thorne, and I was talking to Thorny about like when he was playing the Wallabies, and then he always said, well, mate, when you play the South Africans, you've got to check yourself in, which means,
right,
mate, you're going to be up for a really, really tough battle, like you've got to get your body prepared to go through something that you wouldn't go through in a normal test match or rugby game, so there's some moments, so I know that when you play Origin, you've got to check yourself in. It's one of those games where you have to check, so no matter what the scoreline is, it's a fast, bruising game. There's no easy games. There's no easy moments, like your lungs are burning, and there's people, and you will do something in an Origin game that you just won't do at any other level. Like there's going to be someone out there that will do something in an All Black jersey that he won't do in any other jersey because he's playing for something. And then what it is you're playing for something bigger than yourself.
Bigger than yourself, yeah. It's a selfless thing. I love that word selfless, but that's what Queensland, that's what it says to me watching those guys wearing that maroon. Yeah, listen,
Queensland, everybody thinks it's a word, but it's not. It's a call to action.
Wow. And you loved it, didn't you, mate? You absolutely adored it, didn't you?
Well, like then I knew who he was. I know that I'm a Queenslander. I knew who I was playing for. But in that 95 series when Billy was saying it, there was all young kids that probably, like then, mate, like that's when they couldn't pick, the superstars like the Langers and the Renoffs and all those guys, the Walters, and there was a split in our game over here, so they picked some guys that had only played 5 and 10 games, so they had to, really instill, what Queensland have meant on the run. So the call's always been in. We've never had to say it like that because we've looked and it's, and blokes have played and heard the stories. But when, you got probably 10 guys or whatever coming into camp and they're playing their first ever, state of Origin, I think Billy, after half time, because they put in such a great effort, just reminding them who they were playing for.
Gorden Tallis is with us. You're of Torres Strait Island origin and Vanuatu in descent. I don't know who the woman was, the Aboriginal woman who spoke just before the national anthem last night, Gordon, but I was just saying before, I loved what she said when she said that this is Aboriginal land and will always be there. And I thought it might make a few people feel uncomfortable, but I just thought it was really powerful what she said, because she was saying, welcome, this is all our land, but she was making that point. What did you think of it?
Always, there's a saying here, and Australia's getting better at acknowledging, the traditional owners of their land. And now that we do it with, with all what we call welcome the country, and New Zealand do it better than most countries, right? You sing both national anthems. There's a great relationship between, the traditional owners and the natives to, the people that come there and settled. And I think here in Australia, there's a line that I said always was, always will be. So it always was their land, and it always will be their land, and that's a line what they use. And
I loved it. I thought it was cool. Yeah, making huge steps forward. And we've got Indigenous rounds now, and we have the All Stars game, and we play against the Maoris, and it's about culture. There's so many cultures in the world that we're losing, and no one's talking about. So that's what So I'm just proud Australian. And I'm just so glad that we're getting educated, because we knew more about bloody all these other countries than our own. God, it's such a shame, isn't it? Because there's just so much cool things. Yeah.
Oh, mate, well, yeah, I mean, I learn about Captain Cook, and you learn about this, and we learn about New Zealand, and, you know, we don't know too much about our own country. And, you know, I'm just, you know, hopefully that it gets in the curriculum at school soon, and, you know, everybody knows.
So when you're out there playing... Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, well, because the better educated you are. So when I went to New Zealand, I remember there, and like they did a treaty, and then I walked out, and then I didn't know because I wasn't educated, but they put a gift on the ground, the feathers, and I picked it up, and I didn't look at the warrior, and then he yelled at me. He said, "Look at me." So I didn't know, but now I know. Any time I ever do anything like that, it's about respect and never lose eye contact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but I had to learn on the run.
Yeah, but also that's intimidating as hell. This guy's got a tyre in his hand, mate, and he's swinging it around his head.
Oh, mate.
You know.
Yeah, mate. Like I was like, but you know what? I just love the way you guys express your culture, and you know, and Australia's starting to do that as well.
This is Gorden Tallis. Just go back to Origin, just a couple of quick things to ask you. And we were talking to Corey Parker about this. I said, is it faster? Are the hits harder? Does your breath hurt more? And he said, all of that things, and go up another 5 levels from that. Is that right?
Yeah. The best way that I explain it, and this is coming back to club level.
Yep.
Like, you know, when you drive your car and you're going, you know, like, and the speed's 110 and you drive along, and then you come to a little town and you've got to slow down to 40.
Yep.
And you feel like you're walking and you notice everything.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the 110 state of origin.
Wow.
So things are just going past you that you can't sort of react, and you miss a lot of stuff, you know, and it's the only game where, like, I used to feel blood in my lungs. Like, you feel like, you know, like that your lungs are burning that much.
Wow.
That, like, you get blood in them. Yeah, like, and then I didn't know what it was, and I said to the doctor, he goes, mate, you're starting to taste a bit, you know, a bit of blood, and it's dry, you know, you just dry, so have a drink. And yeah, I mean, and I suppose, you know, like if I was an 800-metre runner or whatever, and all those guys that go to the Olympics, they might feel that, you know, every third or fourth race. But, you know, as a rugby league player, when it can be stop and start, and we have a scrum and they score tries, you know, you don't often get to that level where you don't get a break, the ball's in play, and you just keep on going flat out.
Finally, then, give us something nice and happy and positive to say about our Warriors, mate, because, I mean, we love watching Origin, but at the same time, we know we've got to go again this weekend, and the clubs just seems to be...
Yeah, look, I'm really good friends with the coach. So when he did that cross on television, he came over my place, and he's actually pretty upset about it, Nathan, because he was so looking forward to it. And with COVID, you know, COVID's really knocked this side about. So all those young kids that would have been sitting there at 18 and 19 and coming and training, and you can give them experience. So the pathways aren't there. You know, there's no side in the world that's probably had to go through what they've spent. I think this is their third year, like, away from their families as well. You know, like, haven't played a game at home. So they do have some excuses. Next year, they're going to be in a better place. They have signed some players moving forward. So Nathan Brown did a great job at signing some players that will make the place better moving forward. So, mate, my wife's on the board of the Titans, and we're in the same boat. You know, mate, we're not having one of those years where we're winning games of footy, but, you know, the recipe in sport, it's hard work. Hard work and the better players.
I appreciate your time enormously. Again, thanks for getting back to us and rearranging, mate. I love talking to you. We'll talk again, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it too.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Gorden Tallis with us. Just inspirational, isn't it? Inspirational. And I love hearing what somebody from outside of New Zealand, you know, just his appreciation and understanding, and also just his genuineness about what he's saying about our cultures here and how we operate and all of that kind of stuff, and the confusion and the unknown and all of that. There's no disrespect going on there at all. And he's actually, look, I've spoken to him a couple of times. I got to tell you that the raging bull that you used to see on the field, that's one side of him. He honestly is one of those blokes, crosses the stripe, crosses the chalk, and he just turns into Hapuka eyes. But off the field, he's just such a genuine, nice, calm, relaxed, easygoing, but really thoughtful. That's what I like him. He's a really thoughtful person. Gorden Tallis, I hope that you enjoyed that. Now,